information that we are $100,000 in deficit. Our structural deficit, which you saw up there, but if you're me, you don't understand the slides entirely, means that every year for the past several,
30 seconds.
we are spending $30,000 more than we take in. If you haven't pledged, or if you haven't fulfilled your pledge, please do that. I intend to propose to the board that 1, 2, or 3 members of our finance team be in regular communication with our treasurer, and that this small group support our treasurer by reporting to the board quarterly through the next fiscal year. I think this will help us into good fiscal health. Thank you.
Perfect timing. Thank you, Lauren. Any other discussion from the floor? Okay, so, yes.
I want to make sure that folks, because you mentioned something, Lauren, and I really want to appreciate your message, and you know, I really appreciate, you know, calling for help, because I think we didn't see that some of these things were not performing the way that we had projected. We hadn't had that issue before, especially the unfulfilled pledge piece, and so we have put special tasks on our calendar to every quarter to look at pledge fulfillment as a piece of our regular reporting. I mean, we always looked at it, but it was hard to see, and that combined with especially with the endowment shortfall, just was particularly, it surprised the finance team too. So, you know, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, the financial health of the congregation is on all of us, right? I mean, there's facilities, I mean, there's, you know, rental, but really it all comes from us. And not the Sunday giving where you throw in $5. It's the commitment to give financially as you can in order to support how this congregation runs. So thanks, Rev Scott. I'm going to have a move to accept the proposed budget. Oh, Nick, it motions. I need Nick Lewis. Oh. We are going right to, we are going right to a vote. We are going right to a vote. No, thank you, parliamentarian. Okay, so all in favor of accepting the proposed budget? Norma, you have to count. Yeah, we have to count, yeah. It's not by acclamation, yeah. And if anybody, yeah, put the link in the chat. If anybody is going to vote online, please vote online. The link for online will be available until Tuesday, and that has all of the items that we're voting on today.
Make sure your vote's counted too, Shannon.
Okay, I'll give you the final numbers, but the motion passes. Thank you. Do you want to say something, or can you do it now?
Yeah. Just shout if I forgot, but I think I forgot to say in my remarks earlier that it's an honor to serve you for a year as treasurer, and I look forward to doing it again, and I thank you for that.
Oh, I didn't call for any abstentions. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Now we're running over. I want to remind the presenters that we're limited for the next couple of presentations, but I'm happy to be inviting up Judith Hogan, who works tirelessly.
No, I think Ray's next, right?
It is. Well, Ray and Lauren also have worked tirelessly, and they're going to be presenting the findings of the Congregational Focus Task Force. So, please, Lauren and.
Yes. Could I?
I got it.
Come and stand with me. I'm Ray Dumachi, her. This is Lauren Carlton, one of the leads of the Congregational Focus Group. And what is it all about? This is what it's all about. In June of 2021, our congregation voted with an overwhelming majority to accept the eighth principle. There had been a lot of preparation, but it was almost unanimously voted in. Let me read it. We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community, by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions. Next slide. The next slide was saying who we are. Lauren Carlton and Annalise Scherfen were our leads, and Abby Kessler, Sue Raufer, Sarah Samuel, gosh, Sarah Samuel was so key, and myself were part of this. So, what did we hope to learn before we get to key findings? Could we go back? What did we hope to learn? We wanted to know how the members of our congregations understand the eighth principle. And is it being incorporated in leaders' decisions? And are its tenets impacting our personal relationships? And what changes would help us further along the journey? How did we go about it? Well, we spent a year trying to figure out how other congregations had tackled learning where they stood in dismantling racism and other oppressions in themselves and in their institutions, and finally decided not to do surveys, but instead to talk to you. We had focus groups. We held focus groups in which some questions were asked. And we achieved a participation of 20% of the congregation participated in various focus groups. And we did not request demographic identification, perhaps a limitation, but we used a methodology that meets the highest disciplinary standards in the field of researching things this way. Thank you, Sarah Samuel. Are you here? No, she's not. So then we held 12 focus groups in the course of our second year. First 6 groups for leaders, and we always had a facilitator and a note taker, and then we made transcripts, not quite literally, and those were then de-identified so we could analyze our data. Second half of this congregational year, we had another 6 focus groups that were open to all congregants. At this point, we reached data saturation, which means we stopped learning new things. And then we created what we called a code book. It's a code book of its words to reflect the themes that had come up in all these conversations. That code book was applied to all transcripts, and we had an 88.9% intercoder reliability, good for us. Then, despite the limitations, we believe, given this methodology, that we achieved a data set that is a valid baseline assessment of where we stand. Just over a minute and a half. Oh, God. Okay, what are our key findings? Slide, please. So based on your responses, we learned the following. The eighth principle work is very well supported by our leadership. Most participants understand that the work goes beyond anti-racism and addresses other oppressions as well, and their intersectionality. Next. Many steps have already been taken toward a greater inclusion, but we are not immune to the influence of injustice and white supremacy in the world around us. Cultivating greater awareness must be the work of all of us, It cannot be a burden for people of color to carry. And then some suggestions emerged from all that I've told you. Again, this work is the work of all of us. We need to be in this work together. It is slow, long-haul work. Many are pleased with our progress, but many wish for a more intentional focus going forward. And there is much, much willingness among you all to learn, and there are many resources within the congregation. And finally, we suggest that an evaluation like this be repeated at intervals, I heard you, to reinforce the ongoing commitment of this congregation towards this work. Thank you.
Everybody's timed so well. Thank you so much for that work. And now I can say, welcome, Judith.
Greetings, UUCM. I'm Judith Hogan, your Director of Religious Education, she, her. I woke up this morning with a frog in my throat, so I'm going to do my best. Okay. I'm going to tell you a story of success. This is the story of a congregation built in 1897 on a foundation of liberal religious education, a foundation unified by the free and responsible search for truth, meaning, and spiritual innovation. A congregation resolved to open the gateway of curiosity, freedom, and growth in the minds of the children and youth in their care. This success story is about UUCM. As the story progresses and the cast of characters meanders through cycles and evolution, the way forward on our spiritual and educational path continues to be a future informed by the past, grounded in faith, encouraged by volunteer teachers, and lived into by enrolled children and youth. The continued forward momentum of our religious education, or RE program, is reliant upon gaining and retaining volunteers and students. As a plot twist, lockdowns and slow post-pandemic re-enrollment ebbed and flowed, requiring changes and the flexible restructuring of religious education curricula. The RE program successfully transformed by updating our lessons to combine the wisdom of the core curricula with new ways of engaging students, modernizing core UU lessons by integrating them into program delivery models that are familiar and appealing to the way our children and youth learn today, invigorated our classrooms and brought new families to RE. Examples of this can be found in our Dungeons & Dragons and Minecraft's activity groups. Specifically, Minecraft functions as an introduction to neighboring faith lessons using Minecraft as a digital learning tool. The RE program, the protagonist and true hero of this story, stands ready to face the ongoing challenges of rebuilding enrollment numbers, recruiting teachers, and retaining students with innovative programming. We need all of your help to make that possible. The 2021 Religious Education Long-Range Plan aimed to restructure all RE programming to incorporate the UU sources and principles, be more inclusive, and be socially relevant. We have made a significant progress on that charge. Our post-pandemic growth is slow but steady, which includes new families with young children. Many of these newcomers have never attended any Sunday religious education prior. As our student numbers build, we will be able to add more programming and specifically geared towards certain age ranges. We continue to build up our grade-specific cohorts. Historically inconsistent attendance throughout the program year affects the ability to offer linear, progressive lessons. Consciously reflecting on our accomplishments and experiences, we hope to offer more programs, but can only do so if we get enough teachers and students registered. If we get enough teachers and students registered. Again, we need every member of this congregation to drive registration for our children's program. The best part of this story is that we have not reached a conclusion. Instead, we have reached a cliffhanger that prepares us for endless sequels. We have innovated our programs, the means of program delivery, and virtually everything about children's religious education since the pandemic. We are getting lots of positive feedback on our new curricula and activities from those stakeholders who have chosen to engage them. We are also here to listen to what you all hope for the program going forward and to help us to remind people that our covenant directly invites us to engage and try out programs, especially when they are new. Thank you.
Teachers, people, teachers. We need teachers. Next, we are going to get a report from the Council on Ministries from Ray Dumont and Nicole Gray.
Hello, everybody, again. Up there is the slate of this year's Council on Ministries. Nicole was our chair and is stepping down. Next slide, please. To explain to you what the Council on Ministries is and what it does, because it's a little mysterious sometimes, we have to begin by remembering who we are. Who are we? Well, this is who we are, grounded in faith. We come together to nurture the soul, inspire hope, and bring into being a more just and loving world. Our congregation is structured with, on this end, governance bodies, and on that end, the ministries, the place where we do these things, that making that more just and loving world. And the Council on Ministries is most easily understood as sitting in between, connecting the two, the governance and the ministries. Let's skip that slide. There's a whole lot of missing slides. Okay, I'll do it without slides. So the tagline we created for ourselves is, we support our ministries in service of our mission. That's why I started with the mission. So what does that mean? There are 6 of us, and each one of us is a liaison to one area of ministry. And what we do there is no, we don't evaluate how well people follow the mission, and no, we don't evaluate how well they follow the strategic plan. What we do is we start out by celebrating. So we celebrate what people have done. That includes surviving a pandemic. Then we listen to what people's understanding is of the strategic plan. And this year, the 8th principle as well. The 8th principle was on the forefront of our work. So we then support leaders in identifying what goals they see they have in light of these things. We help them grapple with where the resources are and deal with obstacles and prioritize the tasks, and sometimes we help them resolve a conflict within their group. We also, in doing this, we hear from leaders, lay leaders, what about the strategic plan is currently working and not working. Again, the strategic plan is how we hope to do what the mission says we do. So this allows us to be a part of something Nicole will explain in more detail. We get information that allows us to contribute towards keeping the strategic plan a living document by incorporating, oh, this is done, don't have to think about that anymore. This is not done, we need to step that up. And this we should really rephrase. So, Nicole, I think I've said everything I could possibly say.
Thank you, Ray, I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you so much, Ray, thank you. So in terms of the strategic plan, I'd like to thank everyone who has given us changes that we needed. There are 2 main things that we focused on this year vis-a-vis the strategic plan. Primarily, first, integration across the board of 8th principle sensibilities into the plan. Part of that was handled by tactical changes that people gave us. We're grateful for those changes. If you'd like to see the strategic plan, and indeed I do encourage you please to look at it, please go to page 4 of the Leader's Handbook. On the same page, you can find a form which will help you and help us. The form is a form that supports the changes that you submit to the Council on Ministries. It's basically very straightforward. We appreciate you doing it that way, and the council is here to support you. I'd like to thank the people who've worked with me on my team this year, including Ann Saylor and David Bronstein and Deb Corbett and Ray Dumont and John Carlton. I'd also like to thank Deb and Sarah and Shannon, with whom I worked on the evaluation task force. And thank you, everyone who did an evaluation. It's been a pleasure working with you.
You had 24 more seconds. Really, everybody's, okay, now my papers are a little messy. Okay. Okay, yes, candidates, yeah, we're getting to the end, people. Okay, so we are going to move on to the Board of Trustees candidates. So outgoing members, we mentioned that Michael Hetrick is moving on from past president. Will Hilton is moving on as trustee at large, as well as David Jones. So thank them so much for all the work they did. Okay. So I will be moving into the position of past president. Sarah Skelet will be moving into active president. Dan Silver is the one that we'll be voting for as president-elect today. John Lytle will be staying on as treasurer, and Wayne Eastman will be staying on as secretary. So before we move on, we are going to vote on the executive board nomination. Are there any nominations from the floor? Please note, according to our bylaws, in order to nominate someone at this time, you must have obtained that person's consent to be nominated prior to throwing them under the bus. No nominations from the floor. Any nominations online, David? No nominations online. Can I get a motion to accept, well, we'll do, should we do?
This is still the board. We didn't.
We won't do executive and then?
No, we did.
Oh, okay, okay, so then we can just do one.
Yep.
Okay, so Nick Lewis, his term expires 2024. He'll be staying on, so is Giancarlo Ponticello. Norma Tassi will also be staying on. The two nominees might be confusing because Lauren has actually agreed to stay on for an additional term. So Lauren Carlton, Domingo Martinez, and Bridget Nast are our three nominees for our Board of Trustees. Are there any nominations from the floor? Again, same rules apply. Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the nominees for the Board of Trustees? Peter Arian motions. And can I get a second? David Lewis seconds. Any discussion? Any discussion need to be had? Okay. All in favor of the board nominees? I'm going to ask them to count, but I can see right now that the motion passes. Oh, you okay, John? I did the same thing. Okay, keep your hand up. I have to wait till they are done counting. Okay, you all can lower your hands. Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? No abstentions.
All right.
Okay.
We have a board.
Now I am going to ask Peter to come up.
So I'm here to represent the Nomination and Leadership Development Committee, which is one of two teams or committees that are mentioned in the bylaws. The Board of Directors being the other one is kind of mandatory groups or teams that meet, and I'll just read to you what the purpose is from our charge of the Nomination and Leadership Development Committee. The Nomination and Leadership Development Committee, or NLDC, collaborates to engage members of the congregation in lifelong leadership development, skills training, and education. It develops new leaders, empowers existing leaders, and nominates potential board members and members of the NLDC so that each can cooperatively and faithfully serve the mission and vision of the congregation. Traditionally, really, the NLDC was really just meant to nominate the board. That was its main purpose. A few years ago, the committee met and wanted to kind of broaden its reach. For next year, kind of the biggest thing that we are going to engage in, besides the traditional duties, will be the reinvigoration or reintroduction of the Harvest of Power program, which will be meeting for about 6 months. We have 12 people that have been selected and have been interested in going, and it's going to be an ongoing thing yearly, but that's really going to be the biggest focus for next year. That being said, we're going to miss both Matt and Laura a lot from the committee next year. They were very instrumental in kind of trying to kickstart this program again. So thanks to them, and then replacing them next year. Dana, Dan, and I are going to remain as members, and the new nominees are Teresa D'Souza, Larissa Brooks, and Karen Freed. Kind of a superstar lineup. We were really, really grateful and thankful that they all agreed, and personally, I'm really looking forward to working with some of them I've worked with in the past and some I've never worked with, so I'm really looking forward to that. So, your nominees.
Okay, are there any nominations from the floor? Same rules apply. Can I get a motion to accept the NLDC slate? Edward Hunter motions. Can I get a second? John Carlton seconds. Any discussion from the floor? Yes, do you want to come forward? Oh, second the nomination. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay, all in favor of accepting the nominees for the NLDC? You can lower. On the left, you can lower. On the right, you can lower.
Sorry?
You got us.
I'm pretty sure it passes.
Yes, motion passed. Any online? Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Opposed and
yes,
abstentions.
yes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Well, people, that concludes the business part of our meeting, so I want to thank everybody else for being here today. Meeting is adjourned at 1:30 p.m. I need a motion to adjourn. We were wondering about that. Who? Dana Moore motions to adjourn. I need a second. Anyone? Nick Lewis seconds. No discussion. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, now get out of here. Thank you.
Yes.